Hello everyone. Thank you for joining me today for Cannabis and Movies. In last week's show, I reviewed The Big Lebowski, and I also said that I didn't know what I was going to review this time around. Well, today I'm reviewing the movie, it's forgettable, that's why I wrote it down. Mac and Devin Go to High School. So, Mac and Devin Go to High School. It stars Snoop Dogg, Wiz Khalifa, I think I'm saying that right. I'm not really up to date with all the latest hip-hop stars and all. I'm still back in like Digable Planets days and Public Enemy, so. But anyway, it has Snoop Dogg, it has Wiz Khalifa, and it has that comedian Mike Epps, if anybody knows who that is. I'm sure everybody knows who that is. I personally don't think he's that funny, but he kind of seems like he thinks he's funnier than he really is. Sorry, fans of Mike Epps, but that's how I feel about him. Anyway, this movie was ridiculous. That's the main word for this movie. That's going to be the word, ridiculous. So basically, Wiz Khalifa is this teenager in high school, valedictorian, very smart, very shy, very awkward. They have him dressed in typical nerdy attire and all that. And then there's Snoop Dogg, who is this this guy that's been in high school for 15 years. So anyway, and he probably smells too of cannabis, but he sells cannabis to the teachers, you know, the students, what have you. So anyway, obviously this is just a goofy movie, silly movie. They end up the two of them, Wiz and Snoop, get teamed up for a science project. And, you know, of course, he ends up smoking cannabis with him, ends up hanging out with him, wanting to be more like him, more laid back. This movie is just ridiculous. It is. Like I said, the main word for it is ridiculous. It's like, I don't know, let me just break it down like this. With these kind of movies, when they put, like, I don't know, I guess famous rap stars in there, they're obviously trying to cater to a specific crowd of people, you know, and it's just funny. It is, it's funny. They're knowing that these kind of people, this generation is going to watch it for Snoop Dogg, and this generation is going to watch it for the other guy, Wiz Khalifa. So, and then it's funny at the end of the movie, you know how some movies they have like extras and stuff. Snoop Dogg kept emphasizing, we're the next Cheech and Chong, we're the next Cheech and Chong. It's funny, like these movies that are made, they take elements from Cheech and Chong movies and kind of blend them in there because they're inspired by it. But I mean, sometimes these movies are just kind of, it's like, why bother? Almost like it's just in order to get exposure for your next album or something, or I don't know what. And then, like, just a point to be made here. Of course, in this movie, it's Snoop Dogg, and it's rappers, so they're going to have women that are in bikinis somehow in there, strippers somehow. Of course. But the funny thing, the ironic thing about it, the point I want to make about that's not really surprising. I don't agree with that, but it's not really surprising. The point I want to make is in a movie that Snoop Dogg made not too long ago called Reincarnated, he talked about how back in the days, this is how I was. You know, I was like a pimp, and, you know, my music videos, they even showed a clip of some of his music videos in that documentary called Reincarnated. And he's showing like these women doing the, you know, typical jiggly rap style dances in these music videos. And he says, I'm done with all that. You know, I'm done with all that. But that's not true. I mean, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to appeal to, you know, high school kids, you know, that really don't want to abide by the system, and they want to be free. They want to be able to, you know, not have so many pressures on them. That's what I got from this movie too, with the high school thing, is he has all these pressures to like perform the perfect speech, you know, and like that's real in there. And so when someone offers him cannabis, of course he's going to try it because he's stressed out. Yeah, it's kind of like, this movie, I mean, there's a part of me that does like, kind of like Snoop Dogg, but it's almost like he's just another character out there, you know? These people that they put, these actors that they put in movies, it's not randomly done. And it's almost like I look at these movies more so now, just more of a psychological analysis of the times, more so. I mean, this movie was made in 2012, so I mean, it's just like still had all the same like stereotypical things in it, you know, the scantily clad women, all the slackerish things that people would attribute with cannabis smoking. So there's still a lot of stereotypes in there, but you know, before I even watched the movie, I saw the title and I looked at, you know, you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but I looked at the little thumbnail they had of Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa, and I just looked at that. I was kind of like, what? You know what I mean? Can we at least once make a movie where cannabis is within it and it's just chill, it's regular, it's not like a huge thing, you know, alright, I'm gonna go out and see strippers, I'm gonna go and just get all crazy, and you know, there was a guy in a wheelchair that was having sex with some random teenager in there, and of course there's a lot of scenes where I had to like push the, you know, fast forward button, because a lot of it I don't want to see. But I mean, it's like, when can we get to the point where we can make positive movies with cannabis in it, where there doesn't have to be some crazy off-the-wall thing happening? I mean, why can't we, not even just a documentary. I mean, yes, there's lots of documentaries out there that talk about the day in life of someone who uses cannabis on a regular basis. And so when people, believe it or not, okay, when you're listening to me talk about this, you may not be one of these people. But there's people out there that will watch these movies and think, oh, those stupid potheads, they're all like always getting into trouble, and, you know, they're just nasty, they're just, you know, lazy, shifty, crooks, criminals, and all this other bullshit. You know what I mean? So there are people out there that will watch these kind of movies and just like, wow, that's probably what they're like, you know. And also in the movie, I want to point out that there's a song that they sung at the end of the movie. He graduated and everything, and Snoop Dogg gets on stage and they sing this song, so what I get drunk, so what I smoke weed, over and over again. So I mean, still pairing cannabis with alcohol, just from personal experience, that kind of gets under my skin, because I see alcohol, because people abuse it so much to the point where it's poison. It's poisonous to the system. You know, and I remember when I used to consume alcohol, you know, and along with cannabis, and I could not even feel the effects of the cannabis. You know, I got so numbed out by the alcohol that when I did partake in it, I didn't really feel it as well. So I don't like when they put together alcohol and cannabis. To me, alcohol is way more detrimental than cannabis. And I don't think they should be even in the same class or category. I mean, they have tons of strains, excuse me, spitting everywhere, and get all emotional about this subject, because, I mean, there's definitely a difference. You know, they have all these strains, and sometimes they will compare them to a type of alcoholic beverage. This one is like a good Chardonnay. This one is like a great Merlot. This one is like, you know, whiskey or whatever. It gives you that kind of effect. I don't like to compare this herb, natural herb, to this fermented like drink, wheat drink or whatever drink whatever you're fermenting it from, grapes. I mean, you're doing sake. It's rice, fermented rice. I don't think these two things are the same thing. I mean, yes, for centuries, people have been using alcoholic beverages for healing modalities. People will use it for elixirs, but like a small amount of it, not like just guzzling tons of alcohol down. Medicinally, yes, they did use it that way. They still do use it that way. I mean, in Jamaica, I watched this documentary where this guy made this, it was cannabis, I guess it was some sort of like cannabis whiskey or something, where he brewed, you know, fermented the cannabis within the whiskey. And it was just more medicinal than anything, because you only need a little tiny bit of it. So yeah, it bothers me that they couple alcohol, reckless alcoholic consumption along with cannabis. You know, when you mix the two together, in my opinion, and through my own experience with my own body, I mean, my body's different from everybody else's, but when I mixed the two, it was just not good at all. It was not good at all, because I did not feel the effects of the herb. So anyway, this movie, this movie was just kind of, it was just goofy. It was just a goofy movie. Another goofy movie just so that Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa can bring in money, you know. And when I look at Hollywood, I just see it that way. It's like a lot of these movies are made just to bring in more money, you know, more and more money to be made. Some movies just don't even try, you know.